I don't hear anything.
Coming soon to a theater near you. There it goes. Yay! When you go back and watch the video, you'll know why. Welcome to TORAH Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with episode number 17 of TNT, the Twisted New Testament Exposed, with Rabbi Stuart Federow, author of the book Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast. You can buy his book at Amazon.com or go to another website, whatjewsbelieve.org. And don't forget about Jewish Mission Control, because that's the bomb. That actually works.
There you
Jewish
are.
Mission.
Hi.
Oh, you're funny. That's funny. Okay, let me make sure I've got all this other goody two-shoe stuff up here. It's good to have you again, Rabbi.
That's good to be back.
Man. All right, where's my other... There you go. Okay, cool. Well, very good, man. It's been a good week. Been a busy weekend, but also not such a busy Sunday, just because my evening shows on Sundays for at least through the month of September are going to be basically canceled until October, the first weekend of October. So that's good for me. It's probably good for Rabbi, too. He probably needs a break from that as well, Rabbi Skobac. So,
William.
Yes, sir.
First Sunday night in October is Rosh Hashanah.
It's Rosh Hashanah, Happy New Year. Okay, so that's good to know. That's good to know. So we'll have to, as we get closer to that target time, we'll have to make some changes, won't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oi, oi, oi. Wow, it's been a great, it has been a good week, though. Oh, you know what I have to do? I've got to open up the Ring Central phone lines so everybody can be jumping in here. So have you had any interesting conversations that you've been privy to on Facebook or anything lately?
Not exactly.
Okay.
And I don't know how people will respond to this, but C-SPAN,
Which is the news network, right?
that's the big news network. You know, they'll broadcast hours and hours and hours of the floor of Congress, you know, the Senate or the House of Representatives.
Okay.
Well, they had a 3-hour interview televised at Hillsdale College in Michigan with Dennis Prager.
Okay.
And
Remind me who Dennis Prager is again? I know that
Dennis
name.
Prager is the author of 6 books. The most commonly well-known one is used in numerous Introduction to Judaism classes, called The 9 Questions People Ask About Judaism, The Intelligent Skeptic's Guide.
Interesting.
He's also written a book on Why the Jews, the Reason for Anti-Semitism, which is brilliant. You know, we should talk about that for a couple seconds.
Go ahead. You just
Okay,
just brought it up.
that's the second of 6 of his books that he's written. Most of the time when people try to analyze the existence of anti-Semitism, they take a look at the anti-Semites and they say, what is it about the people who hate Jews that makes them hate Jews? And Dennis Prager and Rabbi Joseph Telushkin, who co-wrote the book Why the Jews, the Reason for Anti-Semitism, take a look at Judaism and analyze Judaism and why it makes people pissed off.
Interesting.
Yes, it is very interesting. You know, if one of our callings by God is to point out the injustices of the world and say, that's not right, we're not going to endear ourselves to the worldwide community. You know, if if you know, people come to us like Christianity and they say, you got to believe, and we say, you're wrong, we're right, you know, we've got God, you don't, then it's not going to endear people to us. And it's a brilliant analysis, and the first chapter just as alone is a brilliant introduction to Judaism. So that's why, you know, a lot of people will include that one in their introduction to Judaism conversion classes as well. But he's also written a book called Happiness is a Serious Problem. You know, why aren't people happy? He wrote a book on the 23rd Psalm. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Sorry, scratch that. He wrote a book on the Ten Commandments,
Okay.
taking each of the Ten Commandments and showing why the majority approach to that commandment is a mistranslation and misunderstanding. I've always said that the Ten Commandments represent the most mistranslated, misrepresented collection of verses in the entire Torah.
Got it.
And every one of his books is brilliant.
Gotcha.
So at any rate, the point is that there was a student, who asked the question during this 3-hour, interview with Dennis Prager. He said that the school that he goes to, Hillsdale College, has changed its mission statement from words to the effect of, we follow the Judeo-Christian tradition of morals and ethics, and changed it to, we follow the Christian ethics, and morals, kind of like cutting out the Jewish part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been in an exchange of emails, Facebook messengering with that kid who asked that question about his campus and things like that. Times may change, the places may change, but it's the same questions all the time.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
All right, for all you new viewers out there, this is Rabbi Stuart Federow. Again, he's got a really wonderful book, Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast. We have this particular show, again, is geared specifically towards New Testament, exposing the Twisted New Testament, therefore TNT, Twisted New Testament Exposed. That's the whole aspect of the show. Phone lines are open if you'd like to call in. If you've got a topic you'd like to discuss, 855-95-BIBLE for good memory reasons. 855-952-4253. The phone lines are open, and we would love to hear from you. Otherwise, Rabbi and I are probably just going to talk about what we did earlier today for coffee. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I happen to enjoy that part of our conversation.
I do too. The small talk is just, hey, you know what? Okay, so there was something I was going to bring in from another show that I didn't feel like it got answered very thoroughly.
Well, I may not answer it thoroughly either.
That's okay, but we can go further into it if I can find it. Here's a question for you. It's not where I was going, but I am kind of curious. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. Shalom and good evening to you as well. Looks like we've got about 20 viewers right now. So nice to see everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So here's something that we were going to talk about today, but we kind of shifted gears. Not today, yesterday.
Okay.
And it has to do with the science and the Bible.
Science.
Right. And so, because I see things a lot where different people have different approaches to how they wrap their head around biblical things. And some say, well, the Bible it's either science or the Bible. Some people say, no, it's science and the Bible. I mean, with the Red Sea crossing, high winds, blah, 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 blah. Of course, I had problems with that too because, if the winds were so high, how did the people stand? If the wind is so high, blowing the water out of the way on the, creating not flat, but dry ground for the people to walk on, then you had all this stuff that didn't get lost in the high winds. So God has to be in there somewhere to keep this stuff from blowing out of the way, or, whatever the case may be. So how does science fit with biblical things in the sense of the miracles and such?
All right. First of all, my approach is Bible and science.
Right.
And William, actually, I don't think we've ever really talked about this, but I got to tell you, people who take a look at the Bible and try to understand science through the Bible, or try to understand what the scientific approach was of the Bible, from my perspective, is not comparing apples and oranges. It's comparing apples and trucks.
That's good. Right.
No, seriously.
No, that's good. That's a good way of putting it.
So totally, apple and orange are both fruits, but apples and trunks aren't even in the same category, and neither is the Bible with science. The purpose of the Bible isn't a science textbook.
Right.
Okay. and it wasn't ever meant to be anything that was about science. It's about God and God's relationship really with the Jewish people, but the fact that it starts out with Adam and Eve, who were not considered Jews by Judaism,
Right.
the fact that it talks about the next big story there would be Noah, who was not Jewish by the of Judaism's approach or understanding, is meant to show that God cares for all people, not just Jews. Other religions start with their co-religionists. The New Testament starts with the birth of Jesus. The Quran is about Muhammad's interplay or revelation that he received from. It starts with their own people. Judaism's Bible starts with people who are not Jews, because it shows that God cares for all people, not just Jews. Okay, and be that as it may, it's about. Well, let me put it this way: from a moment of creation, God is concerned about one thing about God's own creation. Okay, there's a recurring line that occurs in the Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 narrative, and that is, and God saw that it was good. So from the moment of creation, God's concerned about morality and ethics. Is it good? What's the quality of good? How do we know it's good? Okay, God calls it good. Well, what did God mean by that? So God's concern is about goodness and badness. So since God's concern is about goodness and badness, God is showing God's concern for all creatures, not just Jews.
Right.
Okay, so look, I don't see any problem with things like evolution. Okay, if you take a look at the standard sequence of events in terms of evolution, it's sea animal, amphibian, land animal, mammal, human, and if you take a look at the biblical account, that's the same order.
Nice.
Okay, so the Bible doesn't tell us how God created the universe, it just tells us that God created the universe. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God. Four most important words in the Bible. In the beginning, God. Everything starts with God. God predates the creation. God is the, what's the fancy term, prime mover of creation. Okay, so trying to read the Bible and then critiquing the Bible because of what you think is the science of the Bible it's apples and trucks. It's ridiculous. It's not even in the same category.
Okay, moving on. Thank you. The Catholic Church. Here's something that I think, and I would like for some clarification on this. I think this based on a history lesson that David Solomon, wonderful history teacher, if you guys don't know who he is, in1hour.net, an amazing Orthodox Jew, teaches Jewish history like you would not believe. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway, he was talking...
Wait. Say it again. In 1 hour?
in1hour.net. He teaches Jewish history. His theory, his approach to all of his classes is he's going to try to teach you the whole of Jewish history in an hour. Now, different aspects of it, but it's amazing. He does this really killer timelines. I wish he had more videos out. Because he's a very visual speaker in the sense of writing and stuff. But man, amazing stuff. He's good friends with Rabbi Singer. In fact, that's the first place that I had encountered him, was listening to him. He had called in and talked to Rabbi Singer on the Tovia Singer show on Israel. What was it before? Now it's Israel News Talk Radio. Israel National Radio is what it was back then.
Yes.
But really amazing. But anyway, he was discussing how Jacob and Esau. Jacob obviously was the good child, and Esau was obviously the not good child. Well, Esau basically had become was Edom, right? And the Edomites really basically transmogrified into Rome, which basically is where the Roman Catholic Church came from. And so I painted a picture in my mind, maybe not intentionally, maybe it's just what I perceived, but that Esau basically eventually became... kind of kept growing into what now would be the Roman Catholic Church, the bad child Roman Catholic Church, the good child Judaism. So in my mind, I've got this visual image of Christianity is Esau and Judaism is from Jacob, from Israel. Is there any truth to that at all, based on your understanding of things?
In my personal opinion,
yes.
Not exactly.
Okay, tell me, because I may have misunderstood
when the rabbis
it.
speak of Rome,
yeah.
Okay, and they speak of Esau being Rome, or Esau being, oh, God forgive me for saying this, but like a type and shadow.
Yeah. Did you hear that at church Sunday? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, of Esau being Rome, which would have been
Constantine, right?
I mean, give or take. It's me and names. 100 years into the Gemara section of Talmud.
Okay.
Give or take. Okay, so I think the commentaries, well, it depends on which commentary, but I think they'd be more talking about Rome being pagan Rome than Christian Rome. Now, because Christian Rome also continued to persecute the Jews, subjugate them as it became increasingly Christian, it became increasingly, bad for the Jews. Then that analogy, or type and shadow, would have held true with Christian Rome as well. When they wrote, I'm pretty sure that when they were writing about pagan, but you could say that the analogy fits.
Right. Okay.
Jacob and his children become the 12 tribes. Jacob's children become the 12 tribes, and Esau becomes Christianized Rome. Right,
gotcha.
So,
and it was very easy for them to adapt to that idea because of the pagan ideas of
Christianity, absolutely.
The demigod thing, like I said, with Hercules.
Yes, the dying, saving man god.
Right.
Very, very common in the Mediterranean, Greco-Roman world.
Right, exactly.
And I just...
you can do anything you want. This is your show.
Well, I want to respond to some things that were on the
sure
commentary thingy. Okay, first, Hallelujah writes, how's the rabbi's back doing these days after the surgery he had a while back? By the way, you know how long it's been hurting me? It's about a week back. Okay, just kidding. No, 4 months ago I had the surgery, but my back is doing really, really well. And now that my back is doing better, my knees are back to square one. So I'm still, I'm going to have a replacement of my knee in December. So keep me in your prayers. The next thing is that I'm going to mispronounce this. Ilmensia. Okay, Ilmensia me, something like evolution spiritually, not physically. We were not monkeys. Evolution never said we were actually descended from monkeys. That's just simply not what evolution says. Evolution says that monkeys, or the ape family actually, and the human family, came from a common ancestor. But they've never found the link. That's what's referred to as the missing link. But that's actually more of what evolution says. But the Bible never says how God created human beings. And when it says, 7 days, if the sun wasn't invented until the fourth day, then if a day is the revolution of the earth on its own axis in relationship to the sun, and there's no sun, there's only the God, God's light illuminating the universe, then we don't know how long that was.
Right. I think I heard a proper translation of what is written in Genesis 1:1 would have been more like in the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth.
Well, and that's the Rashi translation, by the way. There's
okay.
There's also a commentary. Rav Kook, Rabbi Avraham Kook, was the first chief rabbi of Israel in 1948 when Israel became a state. And because he was the chief rabbi of Israel when Israel became a state, he got inundated with all these questions about Judaism, about Israel, about, are you going to take over the Temple Mount and destroy just all these political and religious questions. And of course, one of the things he was asked as the chief rabbi of the state of Israel, chief Ashkenazic rabbi of the state of Israel, I believe, was about evolution. And Ralph Cook said something that I just think is fascinating. And he said that science and our understanding of the Bible can never be in conflict. Because if there is a conflict, if something is found in science that conflicts with our understanding of the Bible, we've got the wrong understanding of the Bible, but the Bible is not what is incorrect. It's our understanding of the Bible. People have a tendency to accuse Judaism of the same thing they accuse Christianity with, and that is fundamentalism. Judaism is not and has never been a fundamentalist faith. Fundamentalism does not mean fanaticism. There's a specific definition to the word fundamentalist, and being a fanatic is not one of them, but people use them almost interchangeably. And Judaism, by definition, can't be fundamentalist because fundamentalism, by definition, means you must take the Bible literally. Judaism has commentaries. Judaism has interpretations all over the place.
Sure.
Two rabbis, depending on their own situation, their own circumstances, can take the same verse and interpret them in totally opposite directions. Okay, come up with a midrash that's another midrash of another nation. Okay, so Judaism has never been a fundamentalist faith. We've got our fanatics, and I'm one of them. So, the right from our Judaism to interpret a text and then reinterpret the text and then reinterpret the text. And you have to understand Rabbi Cook's response to this question about evolution in that light, that we will have to change our understanding of the Bible because it's our understanding that contradicts science, not the biblical passages. I just think that's fascinating.
Right. Yep, definitely. Okay, very good. I'm going to tease one of the viewers to call in now. The first person who calls in right now, I really like to have a sound check from outside because I'm getting different readings off two different meters. First person that calls in, I will send you a free used chumash. I'll pay the shipping. Call in now. 855-952-4253. But also, you have to have a question ready as well. So that's the caveat to that.
Yeah, that's the cost of calling.
Yeah. You generate a good question just to the first. Lines are open. Let me just double check I've got everything volume turned up. Let's see. Yep, everything's on. Volume is up, so they'll be calling in hopefully soon. My goodness. So you ever just you're just on track with something and all of a sudden you just draw a complete blank? Today this has nothing to do with the show, by the way. I'm just giving people time to call in. I was outside mowing and I went back inside because I needed something that was very important. And I was like, it was so important I had to stop the mower, get off, walk in through the house, and walked all the way back to my room. And when I got in the room, I couldn't, for the life of me, I had no idea why I came back inside. I remember
I do that all the time. What'd you say your name was?
Anyway, and even right now, I still have no idea why I went back in. Because after I was dumbfounded, I went back outside and continued what I was doing without actually having a need. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just had to go to the restroom and then thought it was important and then got distracted. I don't know. The only thing I don't lose track of is when I'm hungry. I guarantee you that's something I never forget. Okay.
Yes, for me.
There you go.
You want to get that? Go ahead.
Yeah, let's get that. Welcome to Tanakh Talk. Who do we have on the phone?
Hi there. This is Travis. I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona.
Travis from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm glad you're calling from within the states. You know why? Because shipping a chumash outside the state costs about $25.
Well, right on.
That's funny. So, do you have a question while we've got you here? First thing, my question is, how does the sound level sound when you're listening to it on YouTube? Does it sound like anything's clipping? I'm getting really mixed signals from two different meters, and I'm not sure which one to trust.
Well, it sounds good to me.
Okay.
I don't hear any problems at all, actually.
Okay, great. That's good then. Okay, now do you have a question? One chumash for one question.
I do have a question.
Good.
I do have a question. I have a question for the rabbi. And, Rabbi, how do I know, or can I know, that God is with me?
Okay.
When you're done, can I add something to
go
that?
ahead.
Oh, no, after you finish, I would like to,
Oh.
because that's something I ponder, used to ponder all the time, and still I reflect on it quite often.
Okay. Here's my answer, which probably is not going to be very satisfying. Okay. If you are behaving, acting in a way that is in consonance with the Bible and the biblical values, that God has given us through the Bible, through the Torah, then you can be pretty sure that, how did you word it? God is with you?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But does that mean then that God is only with a person whose behavior God approves of? Okay, that's not the lesson of the Hebrew Scriptures. Okay, that's not what I read when I read the fact that the Jews, wandering in the wilderness with Moses, kept rebelling against Moses, which kind of means against God too. And God may have gotten, I'm watching my language, God may have gotten angry, okay, TO'd, at the Jewish people, but God didn't leave the Jewish people. When the Jews settled the land promised to them by God to their ancestors, okay, God may have gotten really angry and kicked them out, but God never cut off the covenant. He threatened to, because in his anger he would say things like that, but he always forgave them. Same thing happened in the Torah. Same thing happened, with the promised land. They may have been exiled, but they still came back. And God promises that there'll always be a remnant. So my point is that obviously, initially, you have to ask yourself, are you acting in a way that is in consonance with what God wants from you? But even if you're not, the fact that you're asking the question, the fact that you're looking for the presence of God in your life, the fact that you are relating to God, okay, should indicate that there is something going on with God in you. Okay, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let me
Yes.
explain something else, okay? And for this, you're going to have to bear with me, because it's Genesis, okay, and I'm horrible at chapter and verse. Okay, let's go further back. Okay. So Isaac gives birth to Jacob and Esau.
Chapter verse.
Not exactly. It's
Okay.
I think Genesis 28, but I'm not quite clear. Actually, funny thing about it is William and I were discussing this at some point. Okay, here we go. It is Genesis 28. Take a look at verse 10 and following. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went towards Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed and beheld a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Eternal stood above it and said, I am the eternal God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon you lie, to you will I give it, and to your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and shall spread it abroad to the west, to the east, to the north, to the south. And in you and in your seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And here's the important part, okay? God says to Jacob, continuing in verse 15 of chapter 28. And behold, I am with you and will keep you in all places wherever you go, and will bring you again back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done all that I have spoken to you of. So what God is saying to Jacob here is that I won't leave you until I bring you back, which means that after God brings him back, one could get the impression, Jacob could get the impression, that God was abandoning him. However, read what Jacob's response is. Okay, this is Genesis 28, verse 16. And Jacob awoke out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Eternal is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid, and he said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning, took the stone that he had put for his pillows, set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon it. That means he anointed it, made it a Messiah, but that's another issue. And he called the name of that place Beit El, but the city of that name had been called Luz in the beginning. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, and listen carefully, if God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Eternal be my God. That's called outwitting God. So, kivyachol, so to speak. Because God says to Jacob, I will be with you until you come back to this place. And Jacob says, nah, because as soon as you come back to this place and you've proven that you are, with me, then you will be my God. So from the point that I get back, verifying, validating all that's been said, okay, now you're my God. So Jacob is saying, sorry, God, that's not the way it works. The way this works is that when you bring me back, from that point on, you will be my God. And not as God had it, which was, when I bring you, I will be your God until I bring you back to this place. My point for you is this, okay? Whatever your behavior, whatever you are thinking about, like Jacob, when he had that dream and he woke up in his response, okay? You may think that God is not around. Jacob didn't think that God was around and needed proof to show it. But in the same way that Jacob says to God, no, when you bring me back, from then on you will be my God, kind of is the same thing that I'd say to you. What you are afraid of, what you want to have in your life, okay, is the absolute proof of the presence of God in your life. Okay, and when does that occur? Okay, when do we know that God is in our life? Okay, look, tomorrow afternoon, I'm a congregational rabbi. I have the unfortunate task to do a funeral. Okay, he was a young man, cancer. Okay, his memory should be a blessing. There are going to be a half a ton of people there to be with the family, to remind them that they're loved and that life goes on. That's where God is. Okay, God is not the taking or coming or whatever of this man's life. God is to be found in the impetus for human beings to respond to the needs of others. It's not when is God in my life, it's where is God in my life. Where God is in your life is in the impetus for you to do what's right. It's in the person standing next to you, putting his arm around you and saying, okay, I'm here with you. Because that's what God is telling us to do. It's what God's telling you to be. God is going to be found in your life when you behave in ways that show that God is in your life. Let me give you another example. Okay, what I'm trying to say and probably failing at, but I used to be the Hillel director for the Hillel's of Greater Houston. Hillel is the on-campus Jewish student organization. We had actually 96 campuses of various colleges throughout the Greater Houston area, and we had on-campus active Hillels at 6 campuses. So I'm in my office one day. It's about the high holidays. This girl comes into my office, and she's not kidding. She's not joking around. This isn't a publicity stunt. She said she really wants to have God in her life, and she is looking for God. And, okay, maybe I was obnoxious, and maybe I was feeling flip, and maybe I was being obnoxious. And my answer was, you've come to the right place. God is certainly here, or he's going to be here, but while we're waiting for him to show up, there's things that you need to be doing. Okay, which was probably an obnoxious and flip answer, but it's what I said. And so what did she start doing? She started helping us, serve our kosher lunches. She started helping with some of our Tikkun Olam Malchut Shaddai events, the repairing of the world through the rule of sovereignty of God, making the world a better place. She started doing things and being with the Hillel and doing things with other Jewish students, other people who were active, okay? And occasionally I would say to her, obnoxiously, so have you found God yet? And sometimes she'd get this funny look in her face. And she would say, something? I think I have. And it's not that God clopped her on the side of the head and said, hey, girl, I'm here. Okay, but over time, when she started doing things that expressed the divine in her life, that's when she started feeling God's presence. That's when she could say, I feel like I did find God. And I'm saying the same thing to you.
That's awesome. I'll tell you, that's really difficult to add to, but I will say this. One thing that we have to do, especially B'nai Noach, is we've got to try to deprogram our minds of what we were taught in Christianity. Meaning that in Christianity, they teach you, this is how you see God. This is how you know. You speak in tongues, you do all this, This is how you know God is with you. So we've got that ingrained into our minds that that's how we know, but that's not Judaism. It never has been. Right. I mean, doing what is right, that is how we know. When we are doing right and we're living according to Torah, that is how we know that Hashem is with us, because He would never forsake us this way. I mean, think about a loving father with a set of rules. If I told my son, you got to keep these rules, it's very important, But even if he pulls off those rules, I'm not going to, kick him out of the house. It's like Rabbi was saying. I may be angry with him, but I'm not going to kick him out of the house. I'll discipline him. And I would say that for me, there's so many different angles that you almost have to cover, because that question alone, how do I know that God is with me? That question alone seems like we could spend 2 or 3 hours just talking about that and all the different facets of how you would approach that question. And so one of the biggest revelations for me that I think helped me out was realizing that everything happens for a reason. As you read through the stories of Tanakh, this happened to so-and-so, but if you look prior to it, you find out that this is why it happened, so it's kind of a cause and effect thing. And so I began to monitor my own behavior, my own life, my own responses toward God, and also His responses back to me. And it wasn't never, like Rabbi said, it wasn't never God conking me in the head and saying, here I am, listen up, mister. It was more of, it's kind of like planting a seed. If you've got a bag of mixed seeds in a Ziploc bag, and you go to plant these seeds, you don't know what they are right away. You've got to kind of wait for the outcome to see what actually happened. And, and that's how it's been for me and my wife. Yes, sir? No, go ahead.
I just want to, because you said something that I really want to talk about.
Okay, good. Actually, that was pretty much it. So before you forget what you want to talk about, let's just go ahead and roll back on to you.
You know me well, because I could forget for 10 seconds.
I can too. So that's why we do good with interrupting each other. That's good. I'm happy with
William, there's a saying. As a matter of fact, that's exactly why I like this, because we bounce off each other. But there's a saying that it's kasher liot Yehudi, that it's difficult to be a Jew. Okay, and a lot of times people think, oh, that's a response to anti-Semitism because there's a lot of anti-Semitism in the world, and it wanes, but it comes back, and now it's back in spades all over the place. Okay, I don't think that's really what it means. I think what it means is that sometimes it's easier to be somebody else's religion because they do things so, Christianity, in talking about prayer, okay, Jesus, and don't ask me chapter and verse, I don't remember exactly where it is, never could remember stuff like that, but Jesus says, oh, don't be like the Pharisees, who have to show off their piety, okay, pray in quiet and pray, subtly, go off into your own and pray or something like that.
Right.
I'll have to find it exactly. My point is that then Christianity goes and does exactly the opposite. Okay, you're talking about the easy way of being Christian to show that God is in your life by speaking in tongues. And I can show you an article by a guy who used to teach people to speak in tongues that it's something that's taught. And it's not really from a quote-unquote Holy Spirit. Okay, but my point is that the subtlety of Judaism is not going to be a clap you on the side of the head kind of, revelation that God has picked you, tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, here's my message. Okay, Judaism is a much more subtle religion. It's more intellectual as opposed to emotional. It responds to the intellect and the mind as opposed to the emotions and the feelings. Nothing more. Okay, fine. So I know that God is with me when I find the strength not to be like everybody else and eat a pepperoni pizza or something like that. Okay, I know that God is with me when I find the strength God put in me to shut my mouth, okay, and not join people talking negatively about somebody. Okay, Lashon Hara, the evil tongue. Okay, I know that God is with me when I find the strength God put into me to at least do better, I hope, in obeying the mitzvot, the 613 commandments. Okay, or more accurately, whatever of those 613 apply to Stuart, Federow at any given time, but that's another conversation.
Right.
It's easy to say, I'm a Christian and God is on my side because, I can put my hands on you and I can heal you. Okay, that's easy. Okay, that's go watch the Steve Martin movie, Keeping the Faith. Wait,
I've seen that movie you're talking about, something like that. Yeah.
It's something like that, but it's Steve Martin.
He's a preacher and
exactly. He's a tent revivalist. Okay, and the guy who wrote this article about how you teach somebody to speak in tongues was one of the advisors to the Steve Martin movie.
Wow.
Okay, Marjo Gortner, 4-year-old tent evangelist. That's easy. That's, pardon the expression, fakeable. Okay, the knowledge of God in your life in Judaism is much more subtle. Okay, when those lights wane outside, okay, and you light the Shabbat candles, there shalom in the bayit, shalom bayit, the peace in the house, which has a number of meanings, but what I'm talking about is when you feel that peace come over you, okay, that's when you know that God is on your side, that God is in your life. The spiritual feeling you get by observance of the mitzvot, that you are literally doing the will of God as commanded by God in the Tanakh, in the Torah. Okay, that's how we know in Judaism that God is with us, that God is on our side, that God is, that's how it's hard to be a Jew because it's easy to do the the outlandish speaking in tongues or whatever. It's hard to be a Jew because it's much more subtle in Judaism.
Right on.
It comes over time. It's not immediate. It's the slow being tamed by the mitzvot, and you taming the mitzvot as your own. The service becomes your own. Okay, am I clear, William? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. There's like I said before, there's just so many factors and aspects of this whole thing. I would say to someone who's watching, if you want a warranty that Hashem is with you, learn the Torah, learn to follow the commandments the best you can, and pray, communicate with Him. There's no way He's going to turn His back on you. No way. Bottom line,
I agree. And Judaism is a religion of doing. Okay, the old joke, which is an old joke, there's a reason why the joke exists about 2 Jews, 3 opinions. Okay, but the idea actually is the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis of the 2 sides of the debate, and that's really the 3 opinions created by two Jews.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. I may try to call you, William. I keep trying to use my Skype, okay, and you always have to call me. But I call you because I know you're there. Even if I don't get you, even if my Skype for some reason rings for approximately 2 seconds and then cuts itself off, I can't call you unless I know you're there.
Right.
So a person who prays, okay, and I don't mean my prayer, gimme, now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about the outpouring of the soul. Okay, the get up in the morning with the I give thanks before you, O God, for returning my soul to me in the greatness of your compassion. That's a bad translation, but
right.
It's when you communicate because you know God's there. So when you pray, okay, it's a reaching out because you know there's someone to reach to. Is that clear?
Yeah, totally.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Travis, be sure. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I'll send you a message.
Yeah, do that. Send me a message. Just send me your mailing address, and I'll get that out to you probably in the next few days. Okay.
Travis, I hope.
Right on. Hey, William.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Rabbi.
Well, I was just going to say that I hope that William's comments and my comments were at least a little bit helpful.
Well, I would say that William hit it right on with the Christian background, what I'm looking for, and Rabbi, that was extremely beautiful, and
I don't care if it was beautiful. I hope it helped.
Well,
over
that was
time,
me
you'll
saying
think about
yes.
what I said and what William said, and stay in touch.
Definitely.
No, it was very helpful and to the point and right on.
Awesome.
And I understand that.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Travis, man, thanks for calling in, and I'll look for your message. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Shalom.
Shalom to you too.
Shalom.
Wow, that's cool. Well, that kind of almost wrapped up an hour. We got time for one more question. I'm going to throw this in here. Lou on the YouTube channel has asked something I think Rabbi Singer and I talked about this past Sunday, was how does Christianity conflict with the Noahide laws? The reason why that got brought up Sunday was somebody had mentioned that the Christadelphians were Unitarian. They were not Trinitarian at all, so they weren't guilty per se of idol worship, but they're still not compliant with the Noahide laws. So Lou is asking, I should probably read it word for word rather than trying to paraphrase it like I did. Let me go back here and see it here. See. Now, I'm going to have to go with that.
I had it.
Oh, there it is. Lucan, it says, can you discuss how Christianity conflicts with the laws of Noah, and do Christians think they are sons of Noah? Do they think that they are?
And the answer is no, they don't think they're the sons of Noah, B'nai Noach, but they should, because if you examine, here we go, chapter and verse. William, you're going to have to help me.
Okay.
There's a place in the New Testament where I can't remember if it's Jesus or Paul. I think it's Paul. But he says, there really is a minimum kind of behavior you're supposed to be doing, and he lists like 5 or 6 out of the 7 laws of Noah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. That was in Acts. That was in Acts chapter 15.
15.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pull that up. Hang on a second.
So
I
from
think
that alone, they should know what
19, 20, and 21 or something like that. Let me see. Let's see, and we'll pull those up. We'll actually express what those are. So Acts 15. Yeah. I'm going to go to 19 and see if that's it. Okay, let's see. But we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, and from fornication, and from things strangled, and from the blood.
Right.
And so 3 of those 4 things are like dietary laws, and it's like, well, it's kind of weird. I thought the Noahides weren't responsible for the dietary laws. So,
right, but the pollution that comes from idols, so no idolatry.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
No fornication, which is illicit sexual union.
Right.
Okay, and then strangled in blood is not necessarily one of the 7. That's true.
Right.
Okay, but he's touching on it there.
Well,
so
you could
somewhere
say,
along the line, I would think Christians should be aware that they are in fact B'nai Noach, literally. Who are the descendants of Noah? It's every human being on planet Earth, whether they know it or not, are in a covenantal relationship with God. Okay.
Right. That makes sense.
But you have to ask the question of idolatry and Christianity, and is a Trinitarian belief a idolatrous, and what happens if a Christian community believes that Jesus was the dying, saving definition of the word Messiah, but they just don't happen to believe that he was divine or God? Well, William, this is more your area than mine, so let me ask you a question. Those Christian denominations that do not believe that Jesus was divine, was God, a person in God, not a Trinity, etc., do they still nevertheless pray through Jesus? Do they still pray in Jesus' name?
Yes, they do.
Exactly.
Yes, they do.
I thought so, but I just had to bounce it off.
Including the Christ, what was it? I forgot the ones. Anyway, like Christadelphians and things like that. A lot of the ones that claim to be monotheistic still pray in Jesus' name.
But that means that they are still. What does God say? God says, you will have no other gods before me. You may think they're gods, but even if you think they're gods, don't go through them to get to me. Other gods. There are no other gods besides God. So obviously he's not talking about gods.
Right.
Okay, what he's saying is you may think they're gods, but even if you did think they're gods, don't put them before me.
Right.
Well, if they have to pray through Jesus or in the name of Jesus to get their prayers said, okay, then they're kind of committing adultery. Idolatry,
right.
Idolatry, okay. So most of those religions that do not have Jesus being divine, when it comes to Judaism and the strict monotheism of Judaism and the belief system of Judaism, which came from God, if they insult it and put it down, okay, aren't they kind of blaspheming? Aren't they kind of insulting God by putting down the religion that God established through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Not re-upped. What's the word? Reestablished and validated and verified again through Moses. Reestablished, validated again through the prophets. Okay, reestablished, validated again through the rabbis. Remember something, 2,000 years ago, you had basically four groups. You had the Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, and Zealots. Zealots, open rebellion against Rome, got squashed like bugs. They lost. Okay. The Essenes, the lunatic fringe who took themselves out into the desert and violated the first commandment of be fruitful and multiply because you were supposed to be celibate if you were part of the Essene community.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I knew they were minimalist. I just didn't know to how minimum.
Well, but
that's funny.
Yes, they were, and they went out of existence. They were the lunatic friends that went down into the desert anyway, like a David Koresh in Waco, Texas, or Jim Jones going into South America or somewhere, wherever he went. Okay, they lost out. Okay, the Sadducees were the Roman puppets. Okay, who were given the temple as their seat of power, and you didn't even have to be a priest to be given the position of high priest. It went to the highest bidder. When the temple was destroyed, they lost out. Okay, so God is saying the group I want to take over Judaism from now on is the Pharisees, which became the rabbis. Rabbinic Judaism, okay, came through the Pharisaic approach to interpretation. So, if the Christian community that is not Trinitarian is still insulting the Jewish laws, the God-given Jewish laws, okay, you might say it's not idolatrous because it's not seen a human and created as creator, but you still have to say it's violating, I think, the laws of the B'nai Noach law of blasphemy, because of their attitude towards Judaism.
Sure. Yeah, agreed completely.
Okay. What are the other ones? Murder? Nah, probably not. Stealing? Nah, probably not, because, their own societies would take care of that. What are we missing? Established courts of law? Yeah, they probably have some sort of courts because most towns, cities, whatever, set up that kind of thing.
Forbidden relationships tend to be a
illicit
spot.
Sexual union. Cutting off the limb of a living animal depends on what culture you're talking about. They actually still do that in China and in other Asian countries, literally. Okay, but to be the big ones for them would be idolatry and the blasphemy.
Right, and that's true.
So no, I would say, Lou, I don't believe Christianity is in consonance with the B'nai Noach laws, and Christians should think of themselves as part of that group, even though they don't follow the laws of Noah, as we've already discussed.
Right.
As we just talked about. That's my opinion.
That's good. WhatJewsBelieve.org. If you've not been there, you should definitely check it out. It's a really cool website. I've got it on your screen now. I'll try to scroll around for you a little bit. If you don't have the book that I shared with you earlier, Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast, you should get it. It's a very easy read. If you've already got it and you're not willing to give away the one you have, buy a second one. It's an amazing read because it's not super thick. But you've got the Creencia Judía, which is the Spanish website that is available there for the ones who aren't too kosher with the English stuff. Barnes & Noble Books, Nook, Google Play Books, all of these, Amazon, Kindle. You can get Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast through those links directly on here. And then also Jewish Mission Control. Again, I've mentioned it before. We'll try to throw that in there every week because it's such a groovy little phone app, man. It's really, really cool. So yeah, just look it up on your phone. It's on both iPhone and, I say both like I'm leaving out BlackBerry. I don't even know if BlackBerry still exists these days. But iPhone and Android. And if you're a BlackBerry producer or whatever, don't send me the hate mail. I just don't know. I'm not much tech savvy on that sort of thing. So
just one thing. I know you're in a hurry, William, but
no, go ahead. You're fine.
All right. I hope I don't mispronounce it, but Delane
Davis, right?
Yes, says, I thought the Essenes developed into the Christians, and Lucan says they say JC studied with the Essenes, and Delane comes back again with also John the Baptist. Okay, Christians may say, because they've taken a look at the Dead Sea Scrolls and they think they see their own belief system within the pages of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but a lot of scholars are saying the Dead Sea Scrolls really didn't come from the Essene community. They're not sure who had them. Mm-hmm. Okay, but no, the Essenes did not develop into Christianity because the Essenes were they were celibate. You had to convert into the group. They were heavily into purity laws and to
giving everything you've got to help everybody else survive.
Which is, cult-like to be. I mean, modern sense of the term cult-like to begin with, and none of these characteristics, in terms of behavior, certainly were in the earliest Christian community.
I'll tell you, in contrast to that a little bit, Matthew, I think was it Matthew? One of the Gospels, it talks about the story where everybody everybody sold everything that they had so that they could, distribute among them evenly. So there was that hint of the whole Essene thought mixed in to the New Testament. I mean, there's...
Yeah, but you don't have to be an Essene to have that belief system. Socialism and communism have that belief too, but I wouldn't call them Essene influenced.
Okay, gotcha.
So I don't personally believe that Essenes ever developed. It might...
Well, plus the Essene or the whole Qumran thing was around 125 to 130, and really Christianity didn't really, I guess you could say, initiate through Rome until like 325 or after 300. So,
right.
But it could have lingered in. I'm not sure how that works.
For Trahasis, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Paul, in a sense, taught celibacy unless one was better off getting married. Yes, Paul, being kind of weird, okay, maybe afraid of sex. I'm not sure what it was.
I don't think so. I think that what he was so convinced that this whole end time thing was coming now. He's like, dude, don't waste your time. If you're married, stay married. If you're single, stay single. If you're a Jew, stay Jew. Whatever the case may be. He's saying, stay as you are. Whatever it is, just don't
the
change.
World is going to change imminently
because it's going to be coming soon, and it's not going to do any good to change. I think that was his whole message, and why he was so jumping around to different audiences also.
Right. Also, Delane talked about John the Baptist as a possible Essene. Yeah, there's some relationship there between what we know how the Essenes behaved, what they dressed in, what they ate, and John the Baptist. The interesting thing about John the Baptist is John the Baptist probably was a competitor for the followers that also were. He was competing against Jesus for followers. And it's interesting, the victor goes the spoils. The people who win the war write the history. Okay, they put words in John the Baptist's mouth. Okay, so are you the Christ? He did not lie. He actually admitted he did not lie, and he said, "No, I am not."
Right.
Okay, the sense of emphasis of John the Baptist saying he was not is written for the followers of John the Baptist, where supposedly they have a quote that John the Baptist himself is saying he's not it, it's Jesus. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
All right, so I don't have that right in front of me either, but John the Baptist was a weird dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the cousin, I guess you could say, a cousin of Jesus, right?
Which totally irrelevant, but yes.
Yeah.
And being a cousin of Jesus.
Well, it wouldn't be totally irrelevant.
Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, when Mary goes to visit her, it says that Mary is going to her relative. So if if Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, was a Levite, probably so was Mary, which means the whole idea of Mary being from the house of Judah and descendant of David is impossible.
Interesting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, anyway.
Wow, interesting. Cool.
Right.
Wow.
All right. At any rate, I saw their comments and I didn't want to.
No, that's great. That's great. I think we'll keep more an eye on those on the comment page in days to come. So, well, I'll tell you what. Thank you, Rabbi. It's been
always
really good.
Fun.
Oh, always fun. Always fun.
I like doing it.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I really, really appreciate y'all taking part in the show. And again, Travis, I'll be looking for your message. Congratulations on the free used Chumash. You're going to love it, though. It's pretty awesome. Rabbi, have a great night. Shalom, everyone.
You too.
See you next week, same time, same place.
Absolutely.
Shalom Aleichem Malachei Yasharim Malachei Elyon Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem Shalom Aleichem Bachun l'shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem.